First Sunday of Advent, Cycle C. The Gospel is taken from St. Luke, chapter 21, verses 25 to 28 and 34 to 36. Be alert and watchful to receive the Lord. Be alert and watchful to receive the Lord. While I was in UAE, United Arab Emirates, I remember having read in the Gulf News one of the leading newspapers over there, that His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, the ruler of Dubai, made frequent surprise visits to a number of government and private offices to see for himself how they were functioning. Soon after that, there was another article in the Gulf News that the King of Jordan took around totally. This guy is just to see for himself the state of affairs in his kingdom. A similar story comes to my mind now. It is said that a king once disguised himself as a beggar and placed himself in front of his own palace gate to see the generosity of his own subjects who dropped into the palace for various favors. Some were very generous with him, while others were rude. Some abused him, some even kicked at him, and some spat on his face, and others insulted him. The few who were generous with him, he revealed his true identity and told them he would be at the palace gate again next week, disguised as a beggar, fully aware that the news would spread. And it did. You can imagine, the news spread like wildfire that the king would be at the palace gate next week, disguised as a beggar. Believe it or not, since the day was not specified and no one could recognize who exactly was the king, all the beggars at his palace gate had a fantastic week. Every visitor to the palace was all milk and honey. To the beggars at the gate, they did not want to ill-treat or hurt the king by mistake. I am just reminded of yet another story that I read some time before. A particular religious monastery was getting disintegrated in every way and reached almost on the verge of extinction. The abbot decided to take counsel from a wise individual. After hearing the whole story, the wise man told the abbot that one in the community was Jesus himself. The abbot was shocked. He reached back and told the rest of the monks the same thing, that one monk among them was Christ himself. Oh, you can imagine the transformation that took place in that monastery. From that very moment, everyone was sweet and honey, respecting each other and caring for each other like never before. In no time, that monastery turned out to be a heaven on earth. More candidates came in, and the monastery began to grow stronger day by day. The very thought that everyone was dealing with the Christ and they did not know who it was brought about a remarkable transformation for good. They were all mesmerized by the very thought that Christ was in their midst in the form of a monk. That brought about a change in the attitude towards each other. What enthusiasm, what generosity, what politeness, what courtesy in their dealings with their fellow monks. Today, the Lord is telling us in unmistakable words, He is coming for definite. Stay awake, for the day or the hour we do not know. As dear friends, Jesus comes to us not only in the Eucharist. Jesus comes to us not only in prayer. Jesus comes to us not only in the Word of God. Jesus comes to us in every form that we possibly can imagine. Jesus comes to us in the poor. Jesus comes to us in the orphan. Jesus comes to us in the sick, in the needy. Jesus comes to us in the suffering, in the trouble, in the hurt, and in the accused. In every simple, ordinary moments of our daily life, Jesus keeps on coming to us. Very often Jesus comes to us unannounced and disguised. The question is, do we recognize Jesus? Remember, our King Jesus was not born in a royal palace. He was born in a simple manger, that too not his own. He was not surrounded by friends and relatives when he was born. Instead, he was surrounded by animals. Remember, whenever we despise others, whenever we disown and reject others, whenever we ill-treat and discriminate our brothers and sisters, we do it to the person of Christ. God bless us all.